Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into one of the most powerful, but also most low-profile jobs in all of Washington. And we're going to look at the pretty surprising journey of the person who holds it, from founding a beauty bar to, well, controlling America's borders.
So let's just start with a basic question. Who is actually in charge of every single visa application, every American passport, and has the final say on who can legally be in the United States? When you try to picture that person, you're probably imagining a career diplomat, right? Somebody who spent decades climbing the ladder at the State Department. But the reality is actually way more interesting, and it tells us a whole lot about how Washington works today. And this really just gets right to the heart of the whole story. On one side, you have the Assistant Secretary of State for Consular Affairs, a hugely powerful job in diplomacy. And on the other side, the founder of BAM Beauty Bar, which is a chain of beauty salons in Texas. And yes, get this, they are the exact same person.
Okay, so how on earth do we get from beauty bars to the top of the State Department's bureaucracy? Let's unpack the career of the new head of Consular Affairs, Mora Namdar. So on paper, her official profile is pretty straightforward. She's an experienced Iranian-American attorney from Texas, the daughter of immigrants, who now runs the bureau that is basically America's front door to the world, handling visas, passports, and helping out citizens abroad.
But to really get this appointment, you have to understand the unique environment inside Washington right now. Let's just say the old rule book, it doesn't always apply anymore.
This quote from our source material really just nails it. It describes a system that works a lot more like court politics, where your proximity to power and whether you're ideologically aligned can matter way more than a traditional resume.
And we've all seen this pattern, right? Media personalities getting top jobs, senior officials making basic security mistakes, even things like war plans leaking into group chats. In a world like that, having a background as a business owner like Namdar has can actually be a good thing. It signals that you're separate from the so-called establishment. It's a whole different kind of credential. So let's dig into her official credentials, because the salon is really just one part of her story. There's a lot more to it.
Now, what's really fascinating here is that this isn't her first time in this exact job. She was the acting assistant secretary near the end of the first Trump term. Then she moved over to a senior role that was focused on the Middle East before being formally confirmed by the Senate to lead the entire bureau all over again.
And it's not just her time in government either. Before she went back, she started her own law firm. And just look at what she focused on. Federal compliance, international affairs, national security. I mean, this is not just any old legal work. This is experience that directly plugs into the incredibly complex world of Washington.
Okay, but there is one more critical piece to this puzzle. Her connection to a very, very influential conservative strategy that you might have heard of, called Project 2025. So what is Project 2025? Think of it as a massive, ready-made playbook for a potential second Trump administration, covering everything from policy to personnel. And Namdar wasn't just aware of it, she was a contributor. So what this means is that her appointment isn't just about her qualifications. It's about putting one of the architects of this whole ideological blueprint inside a really key government agency.
So this all brings us to the big question. Why should we be paying so much attention to this one specific appointment? What makes the head of Consular Affairs so important?
Well, the sheer scale of it is just staggering. This one bureau makes millions of visa decisions every single year. It governs the travel of every American citizen by issuing passports. And, this is critical, it holds the power to revoke the legal status of people who are already in the country. That is immense, quiet power.
And that really is the main takeaway here. You know, the big cabinet secretaries and the high-profile ambassadors, they get all the headlines. But the real day-to-day control over who comes into the country, who has to leave, and who gets to stay, a lot of that power is exercised right here, through quiet administrative decisions, through paperwork, and through bureaucracy. The consequences can change a single family's entire future, and they can ripple all the way up to international diplomacy.
So we'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. As our politics gets louder and more performative, is it possible that the real power, the true influence, isn't found in front of the cameras at all, but in the quietest offices that just handle the